Well, I would, to answer your question, should my heart change? I think yes, it should, and I think one of the things that the symphony and other things teach us is that there is a sequence, and God puts things in order, and you start at the beginning and go through the middle and get to the end. And if you don't realize that in life, then you'll be wandering, you'll be stuck in the wilderness. And my children are wrestling with what to do, seriously wrestling with that. And I need to be an example in saying, look, God starts us out and moves us, and we get to the end, and then we often start on another thing. So.
And you'll have a wonderful chance to do that, because next week you are simulating the last day.
Oh boy, you better watch out.
What?
Yeah, because what happens is, and then there's a new universe to come.
Okay.
I have a plan.
Good. That was day 6.
Yeah.
Day 7.
Yeah. Here it is right here. Do you have to go through the wilderness to become a mature gospel man in response to your heart? That's a good question, Phil.
We wrote it together. I think it was Dad that.
That's what older sisters are for. They're supposed to help you.
Tell me what to do. Yeah.
You see, but you got your wilderness in there, maturation, gospel, which is the fourth stage.
Yes, and I think you have to go through the wilderness, but you must do so in faith, thinking of the Israelites who were baptized into Christ and partook of Christ through the wilderness. And at least some partook by faith. So when you go through the wilderness, if you complain and lose sight of God's provision, then you learn nothing, little or nothing, and ultimately its worst end is rejection. If you reject Christ, then you lay low in the wilderness. But if, like Joshua and Caleb, you respond in faith to the wilderness experience, then your eye is not dimmed and your hand is not weakened. So yeah, I think you have to go through the wilderness in faith.
Day 8 then?
Day 8, and that was Elder Rorta asking me, what did I ask?
Does lack of maturity in the church contribute to making the problem of your heart and tone?
Okay, read that for me again, please, Sarah. I almost got it.
Does lack of maturity in the church contribute to making the problem of your heart and tone?
Yes, lack of maturity in the church. Huh, that's a funny question. That's what I'm answering as number 1, what is my heart, and the tone is fatherhood. And interestingly, lack of maturity is what being a father is about. Is seeing lack of maturity and leading those into maturity. So the answer is yes, but it's expected and should not be a frustration, but should be recognized as something that is is expected of me as a father and something that is expected in the church. So if the church is immature, just like if I have a 1-year-old, then the 1-year-old needs to be brought to the maturity of a 2-year-old and so forth. The church needs to be brought to maturity in its season, and it needs to be, and likewise, a father needs to recognize what the stage his children are in, and if they are not as mature as they should be, still the father cannot simply command and say, be mature, but rather the father has to recognize what the level is and bring them from where they are. So I want to thank me for having raised a very perceptive question.
Okay, so moving on to
With the
day
help of Sarah.
9. Day 9 asks you, how can I help my students grow? What fatherly approach would be appropriate and excellent? Does Jesus show us anything about this? So that was Eric asking.
Yeah, and I remember I answered him a little bit last week. What did I say to him last week? 'Cause
I
like to
don't
answer.
recall.
Oh, okay.
It's on tape though, we'll see
Yeah,
it later.
it's on tape. I think it relates to the question that was just asked by day 8. And the answer was, I remember the answer, Eric as a teacher, day 9, he needs to do whatever it takes to lead and teach his children. And he needs to recognize what their needs are and respond to them with, if he needs to sing to them or cajole them or lecture them or whatever, he needs to be willing to do whatever it takes to be a father to them.
Okay. And you want us to move on to day 10?
Mm-hmm.
And day 10, which is Tiffany, asks, in what way would a father's role be similar or different from caring for grandma as opposed to caring for your own children? Her question, she says, it's related to helping retract independence.
All right, give that to me one more time, please.
In what ways would a father's role be similar to or different from caring for grandma as opposed to caring for your own children? How to help retract independence.
Okay. Well, since we're, at least in my mind, majoring on the role of maturity and majoring on recognizing what the stage is, I think there is a similarity to the caregiver, and that is the caregiver needs to recognize what the role is. Hey, Dora, Sarah wants your attention. Turn around. The caregiver has to recognize the life stage of the person being cared for, and again, not be frustrated with